Peace, what it do? Finna share something real quick with you. I was reading this. Really wasn't gonna do no video about this, but I was seeing a quote from a book. In the book, The Hiram Key. I said, damn, I got that damn book. A few times it's been happened to me, a couple times recently. Let me know my library is getting strong. So anyway, check it out. The Suppression of Jesus. This is The Moorish Paradigm by Brother Hakeem Bey. This was written, as you can see, in what, I think this one was like 2000 or something. I don't know specifically. See, it was over, what, a 15-year period. But anyway, this is book 5 of 13 of them. So, holla at, figure it out how to get it. I think you can Google it. I think it'll take you to how to get it. If you can't find it, then holla at me. I don't know if that's still, you know what I'm saying? I believe the brother passed in like 2013 or something. I'm not 100% sure. I ain't gonna start, but anyway, let me read this to you. Joseph was a Jewish historian who wrote shortly after the time of Jesus. One of the reasons often given as to why Jesus did not really exist was because there was no mention of him in any of the extant writings of Joseph. This seemed odd if Jesus existed, since Joseph was a Jewish historian writing shortly after Jesus' time. But it now becomes evident that Joseph did write about Jesus. His writings about him were suppressed. One of the reasons the Catholic Church suppressed his writing is because they contained a physical description of Jesus from a Roman forma or wanted ad. So in the book, The Hiram Key, page 230, right? So the more I'm going to read that, which I'm finna just go to the book, and then I'm going to come back to this real quick. But let me just go to the book, page 230. Here it is. That's where he was at in there. James was duly arrested. Just want to show you so you understand. James was duly arrested. All right. So before this, it's telling how Jesus was about to jump out there and try to affect the masses, right? Talking about when he went and flipped over the money tables. That was like a planned scene for him. You understand what I'm saying? To try to affect the people. That's the perspective of this book. I ain't never read the whole book. I read parts of it. I was looking for something specific when I bought it. I didn't even buy it because of this book. At least I think I did. I got this 5 years ago. Shit. So and this somewhere along that time. So let me just keep on. Jesus was duly arrested, and a wanted poster was issued for Jesus. James was duly arrested. Issued for Jesus, giving a visual description of the man. All copies and references to this were destroyed a long time ago, because to have a description of a less than perfect God would never do for a growing church. It was, however, reported by Joseph in the capture of Jerusalem. Joseph drew his information directly from the former produced by Pontius Pilatus officers. This was the document that carried the description of the wanted man, a copy of which had to be filed in Rome. The New Testament states that a warrant was issued for the arrest of the man that says he was the king of the Jews, and that it was Judas who turned in his master. Despite Christian censorship, a copy of Joseph's description survived in Slavonic. All right, you're not no goddamn descendant of no slave. You're not Russian. You Slavic anyway. Slavonic text, which came to light in the last century. We cannot be certain that it is genuine, but many scholars believe it is, and there is no reason to doubt them. It paints a picture of a man quite different to the image most people imagine. Now listen, a man of simple appearance, mature age, dark skin, small stature, 3 cubits height, hunchback, with a long face, long nose, meeting eyebrows, so that they who see him might be affrighted, with scanty hair and parting in the middle of his head, after the manner of the Nazarites, with an undeveloped beard. A height of 3 cubits would put him under 4 feet 6 inches tall. This Jesus, which combined with the hunchback and severe facial features would make Jesus Christ a very easy person to recognize. Whilst this might offend some Christians, we would point out that it ought to be no more important for a guy to be beautiful in appearance or tall than it is for him to be born in a palace. That is the modern view, however, and if Jesus had been a small and ugly man in the Hellenistic world, would never have accepted him as God. So the early Christians would have had to hide the fact. There's additional evidence. There's additional evidence that Jesus was a man of very small physical stature. The Acts of John, which were excluded in the New Testament, says of Jesus, I was afraid and cried out, and he turned about and appeared a man of small stature, caught on hold my beard and pulled it and said to me, John, be not faithless, but believing and not curious. In Luke, we read about a man called Zabacchus who tried to see Jesus through a crowd, and he saw Jesus who he was and could not for the crowd because of his low stature. This verse can be read in two ways. That comment on stature be applied to Zacchaeus or Jesus, but the ambiguity explains why it has survived the knife of censor. Was Jesus the small one? No one can ever be sure. Ugh. So you seen that? Dark skin, small stature, hunchback. They talking about Jesus now. That's what Joseph wrote. Let me just go back here real quick, because I thought that was very interesting. You see, he put it big right here, so y'all know what's up. And then he went on to go to Pyramid Mounds in China. And y'all need to get these books, man. It's very, very good for foundational information concerning the Moorish paradigm and how to find yourself within everything. I mean, if you know Hiram Abiff in a Freemason story is the black man who was hit over his head and left in the West, right? To, you understand what I'm saying, to be resurrected later. That's us coming back into the knowledge of who and what we are, which is only be done through the Moorish paradigm. Because the thing about it is, we was calling ourselves Moors when we fell. So if you're going to get your ass back up, you got to get up as you were. Can't get up talking about African American black people and all this crazy shit. Shit ain't going to work. Peace.